We move on to our next speaker, equally inspiring. I call her the Iron Lady of Open. I also call her the godmother of Open Islamabad. And the Washington DC chapter that she represents, I call that the godfather of Open Islamabad. So Narjis is flown in from DC for this event. She just reached yesterday. She has been one of the biggest supporters of Open Islamabad. We went to her Open DC chapter that she was president of until last year, has been there for more than 10 years. She's done a phenomenal job. The 2013 annual event was one of the best Open annual events ever. And she has a remarkable story. Apart from all the help that she has provided her, she is an amazing person. She has her roots in Pakistan and she's been living in US for decades. But an absolutely amazing story that originated in Pakistan. While it has roots, while it has all its stems and its fruits, most of them in US, she still provides a lot of value back home. Whether it is Shaukat Khanam, whether it is Namal, whether it is mentoring a lot of people, or it is the Open Islamabad chapter. So I don't want to kind of do a lot of that story myself. I'd rather give the stage to her. So may I welcome Madam Narjis Ali to the stage.
मौदल साहब and इरफान साहब, आपके जूते का साइज क्या? 10. I have big shoes to fill here, right? So मैंने बहुत सोचा नहीं कि मैं क्या बोलूँगी, लेकिन मैं शुरू करती हूँ यहाँ से कि इकबाल ने कहा था, तुम दिए बादे मुखालिफ से ना घबरा ए उकाब, ये तो चलती है तुझे ऊंचा उड़ाने के लिए. ये मेरी जिंदगी की कहानी है जो मैं शायद किसी तरह आपको इस थोड़े से टाइम में बता सकूं, शेयर कर सकूं. सो बेयर विथ मी. एंड जो आपने कुछ पूछना हो, बात करनी हो, I'd like कि हम थोड़ा इंटरैक्टिव बात कर ले. थोड़े उठ जाएं सब लोग. कम ऑन, वेक अप, टेक स्ट्रेच आउट, स्ट्रेच करें थोड़ा, मूव एवरीबॉडी. आई एम ग्लैड, थैंक यू. प्लीज हैव अ सीट, बट प्लीज इंटरैक्ट विद मी. ऐसे मजा नहीं आएगा कि मैं बोलती जाऊं आप सुनते जाए. सो एनीवे, अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन. I am so honored and happy to be here today. Athar and Uwais, where are you? Thank you so much. It's a big honor for me to come here. और 2 साल पहले, शायद कल के दिन, हम लोग एक कमरे में बैठ के ये सोच रहे थे कि कैसे ओपन इस्लामाबाद शुरू होगा. And I am so proud of you guys. Let's give them a big hand. Everybody who's been part of Open. Yasir, everybody who's helped, all the charter members, Farooq, मुझे सबके नाम याद नहीं, Mansoor. Thank you very much. I mean, it's a big pleasure and honor for me to be here tonight. So मैंने अपनी conversation के, honestly, it's most about how I can lead you through a journey that I have been through slightly. And I was trying to find words, and I couldn't find the words because I don't think I have enough words to explain where I am, where I was, and where I want to be. So I know that Athar actually said that we are the final product, but if I'm the final product, I might as well be dead, Athar, because I have lots of room to grow, and I want to grow, and I want to not be at a place where I become stagnant. So the title of my slideshow, and can we go on to the show itself, not show all the slides? Okay. All right. No, the previous one. Yes. So next, please. Okay, so I took a title which is Windows, Sponges, Cards, and Whirling the Races. Now that's just a pictorial representation of my life. As I said, there is not enough words that I can put into this half hour to tell you about my story. And I didn't know where to start and when to end. So, next slide please. So this is where life began. So life begins for me at 22 Temple Road, where I was born. My mother and father lived there all their lives. And we were, as little kids, all raised there, me and my three sisters. And this is how life began for me, at a very small place, in a very small little mohalla, I would say. It wasn't really a mohalla with gullies and all, but it was kind of a mohalla. But we, my sisters and myself, had a lot to look out for. Next slide, please. One of our windows, my parents would not allow us to go out, so we were in the convent school. And I remember that we used to go to school and back. We used to have a tough time getting my father to drop us to a birthday party if we had to go, because it just wasn't done. We can't go to birthday parties all the time. So we had a window which looked out in the veranda to the outside world. And we were not allowed to go outside the gate. So my sister and myself used to sometimes peek out of this window and look out and see what was going on there. And therefore, for me, that little jali ka darwaza with the window broken in it has been a memory where we all remembered where we started looking out into the world, to step out. And as you said, I had that line too, but I love saying that stepping out of your comfort zone, pushing your boundaries, getting out there and seeing what there is in the world that you can absorb and you can become part of. Next slide, please. So, when you start absorbing, you start observing, you start listening, you start hearing, you start talking, you start feeling, that's when you are like a sponge. You absorb all the goodness that you want from all the people around you, whether it's your parents or your spouse or your children or your friends and family or just other people around you. Just somebody else who walked by and said something and it struck a chord somewhere. So that's what you need to be, is constantly learning. As long as I'm alive, I hope that I can continue to learn and continue to be a person that can be better than what I was the last moment. Yes, you agree? How many of you feel that this moment you've grown more than what you were in the last moment? Thank you. That's what life is all about. And all of you agree that we can never be the final product, right? We can never be the role model that, somebody has put us on a pedestal. We're not that. We are, all of you are like that. All of you are capable of doing those things. And all of you should be looking for what is it that you can take away from this conference today, this talk that, some of my colleagues here said such lovely things that they're resounding in my mind. There was the Balka Nazam, somebody who recited that. I don't know the name of the person, but he recited it so well. It was kind of haunting, wasn't it? It was so haunting that it just makes me feel that, we are all alive and we all need to remember these things and move on. So my slides are not wordy. I want to tell you that I feel like a sponge where I look at people that I admire, I love, or people who don't even know me, and I see something nice that I can take away from them. That's the relationship that I want with any human being that I interact with. Next slide, please. So, I wanted to ask you, really, if you really want to speak out and say something, you feel something at that moment when I'm talking, please raise your hand and ask. Please, girls, ladies, anybody here who's 100 years old? Anyone? Okay, so boys and girls, please, ask me and talk to me and let's have a conversation, a more interactive conversation here. So, cards. I used to have my parents, my father, my grandfather, they used to have friends come over at a certain time and they used to play rummy. And we used to just not know anything about that and say, this is rummy, it's a game of cards, right? But you don't know the impact it has on you. Have you guys ever heard this song? I used to hear it as a young child and then as we were growing up. And this song had a meaning that I discovered many, many years later. We get it? You played it? But there's no sound, so maybe... That's fine. So cards is one thing where you actually play a game, but it's a game that applies to your life. You know when to hold them, you know when to fold, you know when to walk away, you know when to run, right? So you have to know when the cards you've dealt with are something that you can play with, right? You are given a set of parents, and as Muaddin Saab was talking about the alphabets I've forgotten, but parents and spouses and children and your profession and your friends and family. There is so much that is kind of a gamble in life, you know. Sometimes you have to take those gambles, you have to play that. And I'm not saying start gambling today. I'm saying know that life is taking risks. It's a gamble at different steps. And you have to, at that point, know whether you're going to play this hand or is it better to fold it and walk away or ask for another hand to be dealt to you. So, you know, having a great, you know, childhood with parents that you can love, enjoy, and who've nurtured you is amazing. But so many of us, my father left me too early. We never had that, right? So many of you are lucky you have great spouses. So many of us live under pretense. I had to walk away. Doesn't mean that the spouse is good or bad. It's that maybe both of us had a negative or a positive which kept on bouncing. Or maybe we didn't have sleep number mattresses that worked at that time. So you have to know what is it that you want to do within yourself, what is right, and what is the next thing that you're going to do. Sometimes you can take a risk and know about it, and sometimes you just have to take that plunge because you don't know where to head out. And if you don't take that plunge, you're not going to get anywhere. So for me, it was a huge thing to take a lot of. I've taken a lot of risks in my life. So you saw the window where I looked out. I was in a convent school. I was, you know, we had character building period. We had these nuns. We had, you know, great subjects, and we went to school there. But what happened was that when I was growing up, I heard about these machines that were automated, and they were called computers. And I may not look it, but I'm very old. So nobody had heard about computers, and I told my parents, I want to learn computers. When I was in 9th grade. And they said, what is a computer? Nobody knew what a computer was. And I actually had gone to Karachi just after I did my O-levels, and I was staying with my khala. You know how families are, you're staying with your khala. And my khalu has a dinner, and he introduces me to somebody, and he says, ये chairman है IBM के, ये अभी move हुए हैं, पाकिस्तान में पहला computer आया. And I was like, wow, you know, that's where I want to be. But my mother says you have to go to Connect College. And I'm like, मैंने Connect College नहीं जाना, मैंने computer सीखना है. So मैंने उन साहब को कहा, I was probably 16 and a half years old. And I told him, I said, listen, can you please let me come to your office and see this computer? And there was this IBM 360 mainframe that PIA bought, and National Bank of Pakistan. These were the two first organizations that got a computer. So I went and saw it, and I said, you know, गर्मियों की छुट्टियां हैं, मुझे आप कुछ courses करें, हम बैठने दें. And I did, actually. So I took that plunge. I never went to college. So me, the role model that Athar says, I never studied. I did my O-levels, and took a jump into something that I really wanted to do. So I actually did no IT studies, but I was able to very humbly start off the first IT course in Pakistan. I was the first one who brought computers to the education level, and do the first O-levels and A-levels course. Do the first London School of Economics bachelor's course, not because I had done some formal studies, but because I learned. I was listening and learning. And that's the story of my life. I listen, learn, and then I take a jump if I think this is not going to work for me. Because I want to be at peace with myself. It's not about how the world judges me. It's more about, can I be at peace with myself and live and be happy? So to me, that has been the most important thing in my life, to say, am I being honest to myself by doing what I'm doing? If I'm not, maybe I need to look in a different way and see what is it that can help me more and would need my help more. So I think I unfortunately we couldn't play the audio, I'm sorry, but play it for a minute, and maybe people will wake up a little bit.
When to walk away and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting
when the deal is done, right? So it was just a little bit of something which I remembered, but I said, things that you have seen as you're growing up and you've learned, they actually have an impact with you later in life if you think about them and say every little thing that you see around it has an impact in life to say, okay, it doesn't matter about winning or losing, it's about me playing. It's me getting out and doing something. Next slide, please. So that was my story where I started off as an IBM intern in Habib Bank Plaza in Karachi. And I ended up becoming a programmer and a systems analyst there. And then I went into a marriage, and I had my good times and I had my bad times. But I had to take that risk and get out when the times were really bad. And I took a leap of faith in myself and in God. And I said, I believe in you. मैं तेरी इबादत करती हूँ, तुझसे ही मदद मांगती हूँ. So मैंने बच्चों से कहा और मैं उठ के यहाँ से अमेरिका चली गई. मेरे पास कोई पैसे नहीं थे. But I started my life there all over again. I somehow ended up in the best of technology fields. I've been working with the US government agencies like NASA and Homeland Security and Department of Agriculture, and I've been exposed to the highest level of IT structures, infrastructure that was put there. So I have now come to a stage where all that is become part of me, but now it's more and more about fulfillment and completion. So my whirling dervish is where I want to be. That's the end state I want to be. That's my exit. So basically, I feel that the moments are getting more and more where you actually, इन्होंने इश्क की मुद्दत से आपने बात की थी, आप एक इश्क के लेवल पे वहाँ जाते हैं जहाँ आपके अंदर ही खुदा है. आप twirl करते हैं like a dervish. The dervish has the Kaaba within them. They feel कि हमारे अंदर ही Kaaba है. I'm twirling around the Kaaba. मैं तवाफ कर रही हूँ और वहीं पे हूँ. So this is my way of saying, like a whirling dervish, I receive and I give. So the whirling dervish has a hand up in the air and a hand pointing down, which says, I'm a medium. I get and I give. That there is no me. There is no me. So you have to get out of that me situation to say कि मैं बहुत बड़ी एक leader हूँ या मैं बहुत बड़ी इंसान हूँ या कुछ नहीं. It's just that I have more opportunities to allow for me to be able to give more. So I think that is your responsibility in life, to become part of the community, to become part of this environment, to become part of nature, and in that whirling, lose yourself. Right? Okay, we're going to move on. So, you see these happy faces. This was my fulfillment. This is the joy of my life, my children and my grandchildren. I have, mashallah, 2 girls and a boy, and I have 4 grandkids, 2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. So I am so blessed, I am so humbled, because I think this is my earning in the world, this is my pride and joy, and I hope that I can touch a lot of lives where I can be of some assistance. There's something that I can be with you to take on and build upon whatever you have. Next slide, please. So I'll talk a little about my company. So, as I told you, I went to the US, I didn't have anything, I didn't have any papers, I didn't have any money. And it's a long story, but I did get some work. I was able to get my paperwork done. And I started doing a job with IBM, God has it. I mean, I was back in IBM as a contractor, and I was doing information security, which is something I've always had information systems in me, but security was something I didn't do. So, I worked as a contractor, started a little company where it was just me. And I was my own employee, and I set up a little company which was contracting with IBM, which was in turn contracting with the government. Then came a few friends who said, what are you doing? You're capable of doing much better than just having a one-person company and earning good money and going home with it. So I got a few the best partners I could ever think of. कोई गोरा है, कोई काला है, कोई सफेद है, कोई नहीं है. लेकिन वो सब इतने अच्छे लोग हैं that I am so honored that I have partners who have been my mentors, they have been my colleagues, and we all work very hard to build this company called SureSecure. SureSecure is basically a small woman-owned business in the US government, they actually recognize entities and they give certain kind of work to certain kind of companies. So we were lucky enough to be getting some work from there and put it together like a venture. So it's not a one-person contract. To put together a venture, and me coming from a background where I had no idea how to run a company, how to put together a company. I knew what I do I was good at, but I didn't know how to do all those other things. So I had to fill in the gaps. So I had to get somebody who understood accounting and finances. I had no clue about how to put things together. I got somebody who was really good at business development. Somebody who was really good at doing the kind of work that we were doing. So it's been a long journey, but I think what we were able to do was put together a team and take on ownership of doing something. So if you're running a company or you're part of a company, you know that it's very easy to put together an org chart. 2 minutes लगते हैं आप कुछ डब्बे बनाएं उसमें नाम लिख दें positions लगा दें. But that's not what matters, right? The positions and titles actually come with a lot of responsibility, a lot of ownership, and to be able to take on tasks and continue to push your boundaries, continue to challenge yourself as to what you can do and how you can go beyond them. There's this guy that I was reading about. He's a billionaire, and he wrote a book called How to Make the First Billion. So it wasn't that I was reading him for. It was more about how he talks about what do you do at work. So the first thing in work is really you have to have a vision, right? You have to know what is it that you're going to do. And where are you heading? What are your objectives? What is your roadmap? How would you define the metrics? Have you heard of OKRs? Anybody here? If you're running a company, you have to have some kind of metrics that tell you how good you've done or what was the standard you set and where did you come to. OKRs are a new way that Google and LinkedIn and all these companies are using to measure short-term objectives. So we do a lot of cloud computing and security and web development, but there's always a measure that you have to, get people to look at and say, can we do this? Are we going to do better than what we did last term? So OKRs are objectives and key results. It's like an agile way of saying, okay, here are the 1 month things that I want to do, assign them at a higher level to a lower level, and continue going till the lower level pushes those objectives up by producing those results that you were looking at. So it was not easy to start a company. It was not easy to work with these great people. But I think what we've managed to do, if you look at nasa.gov, we were able to win our first contract with NASA to manage that website and build the infrastructure for it. So I'm honored and very lucky, I feel, that we could do this, but it was only because we formed a collaboration. We got the best skilled people. So Mr. Pickens, Boone Pickens, the billionaire, was something that I read about him that struck a chord in my brain to say, okay, you have to have objectives, you know what you're doing, and dream about it, of course, like you said. And if you dream big, it won't cost you any money because it's going to cost you the same to dream big or small. So dream big and then have the best ethics. Your business ethics are what makes you who you are. It makes people trust and makes people want to work with you. So business ethics is something that we don't think too much about, but they have a key role to play in what a company actually comes out to be. The next thing I was, the other thing he said was, which really stuck to me, was you have to look at the risks that you take as an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurs are all about people who are doing innovative things, setting up companies, or even being professionals, but doing things in a different way. The definition of entrepreneur no longer is that you run a company. The definition of entrepreneur is somebody who looks at something and does it in a way which is going to be different and it's going to, bring results which were not expected. So I think the clarity of thought and vision and defining your goals, having whatever methodology you use to measure the metrics that you've defined, measure the goals that you have, developing the professional discipline, and then the core expertise. मुझे अगर आइडिया आती है तो मैं अगर एक नहर खोदने का काम शुरू कर दूं तो मुझसे नहीं होगा, right? So you have to be skilled at what you're doing. You have to be skilled yourself, or you hire the best professionals who are skilled at what you're doing. Because remember, it's very important when you're setting up something to say कि ये जो आप कर रहे हैं, क्यों कर रहे हैं? Is it something that you're so good at that you think you'll produce something? What is another reason for you starting a company? Can anyone tell me? Did anyone here start a company recently? No one? Yes, the lady there. What did you think of when you were starting the company? You still need to know why do you want to do something. Is there a gap? Is there an opportunity that nobody's explored? So those are very important things when you're starting a company, and that's what helped us at Sure Secure also, was to identify the gaps that there were in the industry and say, let's look at these gaps and try and build upon them and develop our skills and our experience to focus on the gaps there are and then approach and market ourselves. So the other thing, I'm sure most of you know, but some of you who are starting off now, one of the key things is, which we miss out on sometimes, is to look at the risks in the company. A risk could be you no longer have the funds to pay your employees this month. The risk could be you're running out of money because you've spent too much on product development. You're running out of money because you didn't get the investment that you were looking for. So all those things you have to think through. Risks are also that your employees may leave you, right? And you're depending on a project which is being done by somebody who's so good at it that every company who's your competitor wants to hire that guy. So those are risks in your company that you have to think about and say, oh my God, what am I going to do to make sure Mickey stays with me, right? So you have to really, as a executive, as somebody who's running your company, sit with your board and plan your risk management, your risk mitigation strategies, and your succession planning. I'm a woman-owned company. If I die tomorrow, what's going to happen to that company? I must get the next woman to step into my shoes. Right? You get my point? So it's very important as a business owner to look into what are the risks that your business may have and be able to mitigate those or have plans to mitigate those. The other factor that I really think is something which we must be all looking at, the bottom line, right? What is the growth and valuation of your company? What is it that you're doing? And this applies to everything in life actually, but I'm specifically talking about Sure Secure and things that worked for me. This is not a lesson principle defined by the best entrepreneur in the world. These are my own things that worked for me, and I've realized that when I wasn't doing risk management, it was foolish because tomorrow I might just fall on my face and not be able to get up again. So these are my own experiences. These are things that I've worked on which have worked for me. So I'm just hoping that maybe somewhere you might go back with something that sticks with you. And then of course we're all looking at exits, right? What is our exit strategy? Why are you in this business? Are you there to make money? Well, that's an objective. So what is the amount of money that will satisfy you that I'm there, right? Or is it that you want to become the whirling dervish? Right? You want to become somebody who is now a medium and you have achieved your goal. My exit strategy is simply, yes, we have to get the company to a certain level, but then I have to step out and I want to do other things in life, right? So you have to know what your company's exit strategy is, what your own exit strategy is. So I hope this was just me walking through my company and saying, these are some things that I feel everybody who's starting a business should think of. Maybe there's lots more that you can teach me. Please do if you think I should add something to this or there's something I'm not looking at. I'd be happy to. So any questions about what I've said so far? About work, about my company, about life, about taking risks? Anyone? Question? Yes.
Okay, so just a question.
I mean, if you could.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
You mentioned some great things about how you've done succession plan, risk management, etc. Just two questions in terms of if you could just
Your perspective on like self-belief and confidence. I think these two things are, given some of my own experiences, generally, locally, etc. When you have self-belief, I mean, your example, your story of actually
maybe dropping out of college or not going to college and actually making success much, that's great. But I think there's a huge element of self-belief and confidence in yourself. And I hope you could just make a comment about that.
Yes, absolutely. Ye kan abudo ya kan astain main teri ibadat karti hu, tujhse madad mangti hu, but I believe in myself, right? And the rich concept that I'm showing you really means that it is within me, right? That power, that spirit is within me, and I believe in it. And really, if you take risks and just jump off the cliff, that's stupid, right? But if you take risks because you're confident that you're going to make it happen, then that's where we'd want to be. Thank you. So I think, I don't know how much time I have, but if you just tell me if I have 5 minutes, I would like to talk. Can we go back to the slide, the one here? So, do we have a few minutes? Okay. Okay, 5 more minutes. So basically, the company is one thing, but I was fortunate enough to get involved with Open about 12 years ago, 10 years ago, when Open started in Boston and then trickled down to Silicon Valley and to DC. I see Mozam here. Did I see Mozam here? Yes. Mozam is from the Silicon Valley, and he's been one of the first people who've been there for Open, and I think he was instrumental in setting up the Lahore and Islamabad chapter. So great to have Mozam in the crowd. But for me, Open really meant, yes, I'm hearing great stories and I want to be able to absorb all that I'm listening and apply it to my life, right? One is to hear something and then let it out, right? Sponges also do that. You put water through them, it goes through. But some things you must retain. So I think Open was one of those organizations where I liked being out of Pakistan, yet connected with people of Pakistani origin who will help each other grow. So I think that was the story that gelled with me for Open, and I stuck around. And I had the pleasure and the honor of being the president of Open DC for 2 years, 2013 and 14. And I had the best ever executive team. Mozam, you vouch for that? The best ever executive team. These young people, they were just awesome. I have learned so much from them. And I really think that, you know, what I was in those 2 years, I feel that those kids have grown. They were kids, young people. They've grown from what they were to what they are today. But I have grown with that. So I'm going to just share with you what these people were.
How you doing?
Well, a movie, huh?
I suppose so.
Open is an amazing platform for inspiring people who are in business, in entrepreneurship, in leadership, in networking.
Every interaction project that I work on, I get to work with such smart people, and it really pushes me to grow and work towards my goals. And I really feel like working with these people is setting me apart from other people my age, because I'm getting such quality mentorship in such an organic and awesome environment.
The biggest benefit that Washington DC's Open chapter has brought to me is that I've been able to network with a lot of people who have been able to work with me and bring a lot of new endeavors to forth.
I joined to get the opportunity to meet with leaders and entrepreneurs who are successful in their own industries and to learn and gain from them. One of the things that I've liked the most is that I've been able to forge long-term relationships with these people, and I've been able to improve and build on my career.
It has helped me develop as an individual and also as an entrepreneur, and I do look forward to contributing to Open in many other ways.
The thing that keeps me coming back for more every single year is the support and friendship that I get from each member of the executive committee.
I love Open DC because of the camaraderie and opportunities for growth and expansion.
It has given me a great opportunity to meet a lot of people who are leading in their respective fields, and Open is giving me a chance to learn and grow from their experience.
I get to interact and meet professionals and entrepreneurs who are at the top of their game on a regular basis and enrich my professional experience.
I've had a lot of opportunity to meet various leaders and learn from them. And I love coming back to Open DC because of the support structure for professional networking, and it's really like a family.
So I think that I couldn't have said it better. So these kids have taught me so much, and I think I treasure my time at Open, and I feel that, you know, Islamabad is absolutely going in those footsteps, and they are having an incredible, growth spurt, which I think should be sustainable. And again, growth has to be sustainable, otherwise it's not growth. So with that, I'm going to just take a minute to end it on a note that I wanted to. If you can play the next slide. So basically, with Open, with my company that I talked about, I told you what it meant to lead a small company in the US and grow from there, what it means to lead Open. Have you ever heard of the word murmuration? So murmuration is a collection of starlings, especially on the coast of Ireland. These are spectacular, but you see them all over. These starlings come and they form these beautiful patterns and they fly and they do not have a leader. So leadership is to be inclusive. It's not about having a position or a title. It's to run with everybody. It's to let these people know that they are going to lead. They are going to be the leaders. We're all going to work together. No one is going to be hurting each other. All of us will be in harmonized patterns. We will be making synchronous movements. We will be orchestrated, and we will make sure that we all do not step on each other's toes. We can fight the enemy, and we can still be such a strong community. So my message to all of you at Open here, I hope that this journey is going to be very beautiful for you, that you're all going to be this beautiful flock that makes all these lovely patterns. So I want to end that with just a share. Asad Saab is here, and I know he has a flight to catch, so I know that this is going to be a very special session with him. But I want to thank you all. I want to thank Open, and I want to thank everyone here for coming and listening to me. And I leave you with some thoughts, I hope. I hope you can take back a small message and think about it today. मोहब्बत मुझे उन जवानों से है सितारों पे जो डालते हैं कमल. So rise up, look for the stars, and reach out to them. Thank you.
She received me. I got into the office. She came and picked me up from the place designated. We had a meeting at a coffee shop. It lasted for about a couple of hours. Then she took me to her office. We had another meeting that lasted for about 3 hours. I had to train back to New York. It was exactly at 2:02. She would say, I'll drop you back. She started driving. She stopped at every traffic light. It was 10 minutes to the train. And she said, let me show you Washington, D.C. And here I am saying I'm going to miss the train. And sure enough, when she dropped me at the station, I had missed the train. And it was the energy of 5 hours that actually, and this is what Open is all about, the network that you can create. So use this network as much as possible. Thank you, Narjis. It's a pleasure. And we'd like to have one of the most beautiful executive members give her a memento. Thank you very much.